Hi, I'm Faye, and I'm here to help you learn how to draw in a faster way by studying in a smarter way. Today, we'll take a short break from studying the fundamentals to see how we can actually go practice and do all the exercises that I give in these videos to actually become better. We all know we need to practice, but more often than not, something is stopping us from actually showing up every single day. So I wanted to tell you what I did to become able to go from just drawing 15 minutes every day to drawing 4 to 5 hours every day. Now, after the pandemic, I don't have as much free time, but I can still pull at least 1 hour every day. So I'm gonna let you watch me drawing so you have something better to see, and I'll talk a little bit about it. And let's start by talking about what is motivation. Motivation is that feeling that comes and moves you to go and do something. It appears to be something that comes out of nowhere, maybe when you're inspired, but that it is overall something difficult to manifest or evoke. But do you need motivation to actually do something? And does it really come out of nowhere? We're used to this short term motivation because it's what we know best, but the best motivation is long term ones. Long term motivation doesn't come out of nowhere. It is a muscle that needs to be exercised, not something that suddenly arrives and then you can draw. Just like how I tell you in every video to study smart by being an active learner, to keep your motivation, you must also be proactive about it. When you're already moving, it's much easier to keep going. That's why it's important to start even if you don't feel motivated. But isn't that the whole problem? I can't draw because I don't feel like doing it. So let's think a little bit about why it's so hard to just freaking start. Tell me if any of this sounds familiar. You beat yourself for not drawing as much as you think you should. You think, I have to draw, I have to draw. And when you do draw, you think, I have to draw more. You force yourself to do more than you can, and that makes it tiring and exhausting. Maybe you're afraid of failing, of not being able to do the things that you want to do. If that does sound familiar, then you're constantly attaching negative feelings to drawing, so it's no wonder you don't want to do it. Not to mention, we're great at making things seem worse than they are. Our brains make us think that it's going to be so hard, that it's super difficult, boring, tiring, and tedious. Then we lose any will that we might have had. So, how can we fight that? If it's showing up every day that is going to help us bring in the motivation, that means we need to build a habit of drawing every day to keep it a part of our routine. You should do it to the point that it feels automatic. You don't even need to think about it or worry about motivation. You just go and do it because at this time of the day, you go make some tea, you start doing gesture drawings, then you draw until a certain time, and after that you stop no matter how much you accomplish or if you think you should do more. This is exactly my routine, and I know it might sound like a very simple solution, but I swear it works wonders. But did you notice the key things I implemented into this routine? I pair it with other habits, which is making tea. I start with something that is very easy and that I know I can do it with my eyes closed, which is gesture, and then I do it for a certain period of time. So let's talk about each step to see how to build a successful habit. So I wake up, go to the bathroom, take my meds, make some tea, sit down, and pick up my pencil. That's just what I do. It's not something that I need motivation to do. True, some days I don't feel like doing any of it and stay in bed, and that's fine. But overall, I'm showing up nearly every day. This works well because going to the bathroom requires zero motivation. Taking my meds requires zero motivation. Making tea also requires zero motivation. And then drawing, by extension, also requires zero to little motivation. And I don't even think of it as drawing. I just think of it as sitting down and picking up a pencil. And then at that point, I just feel, well, might as well just draw. So try building a routine that will lead you into drawing by doing easy things that by association will make drawing seem easy too. Maybe it's something like you get home from work, you take a shower, you change into your pajamas, and you pick up a pencil. Or you have some breakfast, you look at Instagram for inspiration, and then you sit down and pick up a pencil. Then after you sit down, try having the first drawing task of the day be something very simple that you know you can do well. In my case, it's gesture drawing. For you, it might be doodling or drawing a portrait in a certain position. We all have our comfort zones and start with just that. Then, after you've already started drawing, it's much more easier to continue, to keep in motion, and then you can go for the more difficult stuff. But don't try to do more than you can. Being ambitious and having high goals is generally a good thing, but in the beginning, especially when you're trying to find the motivation, have teeny tiny goals. If it's too difficult, you're going to lose all motivation because the task is going to seem too daunting. That's why I always tell you to study in cycles. Increase the difficulty in each step or cycle little by little. You can learn more about studying in cycles in the cards. It might seem like it's not worth doing just 5 minutes every day because what can you accomplish with just 5 minutes? But this is a trick. Do it for the mind games. 5 minutes is your cushion or your mental pillow that you can fall back into when you encounter resistance. You can try to do more than just 5 minutes every day, but if you're on very low motivation to draw on a certain day, then hey, it's just 5 or 10 minutes. You can do that. You'll feel happy after, and you start associating drawing with something that makes you happy rather than frustrated. And slowly you can increase the cushion time from 5 to 10 to 15 minutes to 30 minutes to 1 hour. That's exactly how it went for me. At first, I could barely focus for 10 minutes straight. It felt like an eternity. But slowly I was able to keep going for much longer. However, be careful not to continue until you're burned out. Otherwise, you'll start attaching those negative feelings all over again. So stop while you're still happy, while you still feel like you can draw more. So next day, you'll still be excited about it and not tired. Aside from all of that, I also recommend drawing different things on the same day. So if you're drawing 1 hour every day, instead of doing just gesture for 1 hour, try doing 15 minutes for gesture, 30 minutes for something else, and then maybe 45 minutes to something else. Right now, I do just that. 15 minutes for gesture, 45 minutes to figure drawing, and 45 minutes to portrait drawing. But if I were to do an hour and a half of just gesture, I would never be able to do it. So don't try to do just one thing at once. Even if you want to focus on just figure drawing, separate some time for gesture, then form and shading or anatomy. That way, it will feel much easier. And try to separate it into blocks of no more than 45 minutes. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that it's important to remember that sometimes it's okay to not want to do anything and just go for it. As long as it's not something that happens all the time, you deserve some rest. Now go ahead and try to implement all these things into creating a drawing habit or routine. If you thought this video was helpful, please consider sharing it with other artists, liking, subscribing, all of the good stuff. In the next video, we'll be going to start portrait drawing, so remember to come back for that. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and thank you for watching.